නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස.
Is Abhidhamma the word of the Blessed One? The Bhagwan did teach the Dhamma in various patterns through various modes so that understanding increases. Building up various types of Dhamma expositions without going beyond the essentials of the Dhamma, in ways that fit various characters and effort the majority, is a matter belonging to the Bhagwan's domain. It is because the Dhamma pattern in Abhidhamma differs from suttas that it is called Abhidhamma. Even taking the Vinaya Piyaka, the way doctrinal matters are arranged there differs from the Sutta Piyaka. Unlike various suttas, Abhidhamma is a single teaching bound together. It is a teaching delivered continuously in the Tvatisa. If someone, taking only the suttas as the core, rejects Abhidhamma saying it does not fit that pattern, it is not intelligent. What must be fundamentally considered is whether a particular teaching is harmonizing to the fundamental essentials of the Bhagwan's teaching. Impermanence, anicca, suffering, dukkha, the nature of non-self, anatta, and the truth of cause and effect. Furthermore, when mastering that teaching, whether greed, hatred, and delusion are reduced, whether wholesomeness becomes stronger and stronger, whether insight knowledge, vipassana a with makron a, develops more and more. However, studying Dhamma expositions such as the Anyupada Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya shows that doctrinal matters very close to the pattern mentioned in Abhidhamma exist even in the suttas. The reason Abhidhamma has become difficult for many to understand is because the fundamental doctrinal principles in it were not understood correctly or were understood wrongly, because a teacher who knows it well was not associated with. If one has doubts about Abhidhamma but believes in the Vinaya Piyaka, Abhidhamma is mentioned in connection with two training rules encountered in it. In connection with the Vilakana Sikappada appearing in the Bhikkhu Pasatiya Pali, the Pali passage regarding special occasions of non-offense, anapati, is as follows. Anapati, na vivatukmo, igatva satant va gatheo va Abhidhamma va pariyapwasu, pasha vinaya pariyapusati bhati. Non-offense occasions. If one speaks without the intention of disparaging the Vinaya, saying, learn the Satanta or verses or Abhidhamma for now, later you will be able to learn the Vinaya. Although the word Abhidhamma can ordinarily be used in the sense of profound Dhamma, in the above passages it appears to have been used for the Abhidhamma doctrine itself. Why? Because it is used together with the word Sutta. In a training rule related to bhikkhunis mentioned in Vinaya Piyaka 2, the words Sutta and Abhidhamma are mentioned separately. Yo panna bhikkhuni anaksakata bhikkhu paha pachiya, pasatiya, nti. Satant oksakarapetva vinaya vabhidhamma va pachati, apati pasidyasa, vinaya oksakarapetva satanta va abhidhamma va pachati, apati pasidyasa abhidham oksakarapetva satanta va vinaya va pachati, apati pasidyasa. Bhikkhan vibhaga, chafana vaga. In a training rule concerning a bhikkhuni asking questions of a bhikkhu without permission, it is mentioned above that, having taken permission for Abhidhamma, one cannot ask about Vinaya or Sutta, and having taken permission for Sutta, one cannot ask about Abhidhamma or Vinaya matters. From studying the above two examples, it appears that even during the Bhagwan's time, the words Sutta, Abhidhamma, and Vinaya were used distinctively to categorize Dhamma and Vinaya. Actually, what is meant by the word Abhidhamma is special Dhamma. It should not be limited only to the Abhidhamma Piyaka. The 37 factors of enlightenment, Bodhipakya Dhamma, explanations of the Four Noble Truths, explanations of dependent origination, Paikasamupta, are distinctive doctrinal analyses specific to the Bhagwan's teaching. They too are Abhidhamma. However, according to the examples shown in the Vinaya Piyaka above, it appears that the word Abhidhamma mentioned there specifically targets the Abhidhamma teaching delivered in Tvatisa heaven. Why? Because if one takes Abhidhamma to mean profound Dhamma, the question arises, are not there profound Dhamma explanations in the suttas? There are indeed profound Dhamma details in the suttas. When an event is very well known, when later speaking about it in society, there is no need to specifically mention where it happened, when it happened, and so on. It is a well-known matter that in the 7th rainy season, following the display of the twin miracle, Yamaka Pariya, the Blessed One ascended to the divine world and taught Abhidhamma. If one accepts the Vinaya Piyaka, if one accepts the divine world, if one accepts that the Bhagwan could perform acts beyond normal human ability, it will not be difficult to accept the above explanation. Therefore, at the beginning of the Abhidhamma teaching, there was no need at that time to show where and in what place it was done. Nor was there in the period just after the Bhagwan's passing away. The Theras at that time must have thought, it is more appropriate not to show a personal convention such as, "Thus have I heard," at the beginning of Abhidhamma, which is a Dhamma-oriented analysis. It should also be remembered that the Venerable Sariputta, who directly heard Abhidhamma, had by then passed away. Note that in many suttas of the Khaddaka Nikaya, including the well-known Ratana Sutta, Karayamet Sutta, and other suttas, "Thus have I heard," is also absent. At the first council, Dhammasagti, the duty of the compiler Theras was to arrange the teachings delivered by the Blessed One in various places in a systematic manner. Long suttas were organized into the Daya Nikaya, and somewhat shorter teachings were filed as the Majjhima Nikaya. Further, teachings were also filed as the Sayutta and Aguttara Nikaya. Those respective collections were separately entrusted to groups of chief disciples headed by the great Arahant Theras such as Kassapa, Ananda, and Anuruddha to carry forward through memory to future monastic generations. Therefore, it appears the Dhamma compiler Theras were impelled to include the distinctive doctrinal principles, the Dhamma expositions taught to cover various aspects, distributed into every collection, Nikaya, such as the Daya Nikaya and others. Then, by studying just one collection, the disciple lineages in each teacher's tradition would receive all-encompassing knowledge. Furthermore, those collections were also organized to a manageable size. The details about where each sutta teaching was delivered by the Blessed One, on account of what, for whom, were attributed to each respective sutta. Even within a single sutta teaching, matters should be arranged systematically to make them easy to remember. However, the needs mentioned above do not arise concerning the Abhidhamma teaching. As mentioned earlier, because it is a lengthy teaching bound together and delivered continuously, no need arose for rearranging that teaching or for freshly organizing matters. There is also no possibility of rearranging. By the time of the First Council, it shows that Abhidhamma was well established among the Abhidhammic Theras, especially among the disciple lineage of the Venerable Sariputta. It is the firm view of the Theravada elders that at the First Council, the Abhidhamma Piyaka was recited at the council just like the Vinaya Piyaka and Sutta Piyaka, as shown in a summary verse in the Kalavagga Pali. Upali Vinaya Pachi, Satantananda Paita Piyaka Tai Sagti, Akasu Jina Savaka, Vinaya Piyaka, Kalavagga Pali, Pankasadaka Kandaka. The Venerable Upali examined the Vinaya, the wise Ananda about the suttas. Thus, the Bhagwan's disciples recited the three Piyakas. This verse shows that all three Piyakas were recited. If Abhidhamma was not recited at the First Council, the reasons for that can be already understandable. Why? Because, as shown earlier, by the time of the Council it was already well compiled. Because it is a single unified teaching. Therefore, because the Abhidhamma teaching is a single teaching with beginning, middle, and end connected, it cannot be included as a part of the Sutta Piyaka. Because it is a lengthy teaching, it must be filed as a separate Piyaka. The Blessed One through the Abhidhamma teaching showed the existence of the world, through a connected collection of phenomena that are distinctive yet impermanent, not as phenomena attributed to a fixedly existing being or person. Therefore, one does not see in the Abhidhamma Piyaka a doctrinal analysis in the form of, for a person thoughts arises, feelings arises, wholesome and unwholesome feelings arises, or, you should do this, you should not do this. Because of this too, the need arises to set Abhidhamma apart as a separate Piyaka. Why write this audio book? The fundamental expectation is to provide the ordinary reader with basic correct Abhidhamma knowledge, and through it, to help one obtain a good entry into insight meditation, vipassana. Some learn about the mentality-materiality shown in Abhidhamma not as something related to life, not as something related to their own experiences, but in the manner of learning an imaginary mathematical system. Either that is the fault of the compendia they studied, or the fault of the teacher they associated with, or his inability to apply it practically to his own life, or it is the sum of all these factors. In childhood, small children learn various mathematical methods using various symbols. Later, he should become skilled at representing things really experienced in life through those symbols and obtaining real practical results. Meaning should be added to that equation in the form of number of bricks, total area of a land, instead of symbols. Otherwise, what happens is not obtaining real use from that mathematics but rather becoming a teacher who teaches mathematics again as the way he learned it. Likewise, some learn the mentality-materiality phenomena such as consciousness, perception, contact, thinking, right view, recollection, for great elements, and so on mentioned in Abhidhamma or in the suttas at a nominal level, at a symbolic level, and though they have built up much knowledge about them, they are not concerned about how they are practically applied in life. They are skilled only at spinning names. As an example, When asked what I-consciousness is, the answer is received, I-consciousness arises because of I and form. He did not speak about I-consciousness. He spoke about its causes. He has only done a spinning of words. At another time the answer is received, I-consciousness arises because of I and form, and then seeing occurs. It is understood from that answer that seeing is not I-consciousness. Then too it appears he knows only nominally about I-consciousness. Because of such reasons too, Abhidhamma has become a very complex, remote thing. To avoid this weakness, I hope to explain mentality-materiality phenomena as simply as possible in ways that fit life experiences. From this work, a basic entry will also be obtained for the special work on insight meditation I expect to prepare in the future. Through this, the accumulation of immeasurable unwholesome collections by one engaging in unnecessary criticism about something unknown and disparaging the Bhagwan's word will also be stopped. It is also our expectation that the distance between opponents of Abhidhamma and those who know its use will be reconciled. In most of compendia about Abhidhamma written long after the Bhagwan's time, distorted matters having no connection whatsoever to Abhidhamma in the Tipiyaka have been presented in great measure. There are many fundamental doctrinal differences between Tipiyaka Abhidhamma and recent texts. Those who studied Abhidhamma from them also presented criticisms about Abhidhamma because of not knowing these differences. Some were inclined to say that Abhidhamma is not the Bhagwan's word. These compendia have influenced the formation of wrong views about Abhidhamma in society. If one needs to know those differences, we invite them to study the works we have compiled, Abhidhamma that is not Abhidhamma, In Search of Early Buddhism, Sinhala Only, Seeing the Spontaneous Destruction, Theravada, and Vipassana.